You were where?
I was at home. It seemed like it was during the night. I can't remember exactly. But Jimmy got everybody up to see it. And so, but I was too sleepy.
Yeah.
I figured I'd see it the next day on TV.
What time of night was it?
I don't know. It was during the night.
Yeah.
Everybody was asleep, and Jimmy just thought this was so important. Because this was the first, time man had walked on the moon. That was, and when Jack Kennedy was killed, I was living in Nashville in the duplex with Bob and Jim. And that was even though I wasn't a Democrat, I still kind of liked Jack Kennedy, but I thought he was a mess too. But I sure didn't want him dead. And everybody was in such shock during that week. We were glued to the TV sets when it happened. We saw it live on TV when it happened, because they were filming it.
So you were watching live on TV when you saw it?
Mm-hmm.
You saw it happen?
I think I was.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's hard to remember, but I know I saw it. And I remember seeing Jackie and all of that. And she was so pretty and attractive and did so much for the White House while he was out doing with women. Right. He wasn't a very...
Yeah. What about like Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement?
Again, at the time, I didn't care for Martin Luther King. But I liked the idea that he really didn't want violence. And I grew to respect him for what he was doing for the black people. And I think he did. He really tried to keep violence out of the area. And I thought it was terrible that he got shot. He did.
Yeah. Were there any other significant events that you remember throughout your lifetime? Like where you were at a certain time when something happened, or?
Yes, I remember when the World War II ended. I was living briefly in Nashville. It was in 1940, 41, somewhere around there. And that was really a happy day. Really a happy day. Because so many of the daddies were going to war in World War II. Of course, I was just, I think I was maybe 10, 11 years old. I can't remember how old I was, but I was young. No, wait a minute, maybe even older. Because we really worked, and if I've repeated myself, tell me. We really worked during World War II when I lived in Huntsville to gather tin cans, papers, things like that to give to the soldiers, to help do things for the soldiers. A lot of people needed caps, gloves, just things that America was really patriotic. There wasn't all this split division. It was a very patriotic place.
Yeah.
We sang war songs, each division of the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guards, all had their own song. And then we sang, and we would sing those songs all the time. And we would sing, God Bless America. And over there, everybody was just really patriotic. And the people that were younger, we bought war bonds. For 25 cents, you put your little, in a little piece of paper, you put it in, you had $5, and then it would be worth $25 when it was cashed in, supposedly, money. And I had one or two of those. I just kind of forgot about those.
Yeah.
And then you go to a movie and they show the film on the movie, and then they'd turn the lights on and they'd pass a thing down to put money in for the troops. Anything you can do.
Yeah, that's really cool. So how in your eyes has America changed over the course of your lifetime? And what about politics too? How have you seen politics kind of change throughout your lifetime?
I wasn't interested in politics until I got a little older. I had a grandfather that just thought Franklin Delano Roosevelt was wonderful. And he was a Democrat. My father was a Republican and thought he was bad for the country because he started up all these camps and things for people to work, and was getting them money, kind of like they do today. But the politics, I think politics has always been yay and nay, kind of thing. It does seem to have gotten much worse now. And even in the last year, so many bad things have happened to politicians. And they also seem to have a different approach to things that I don't always like. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got another election coming up. I don't think Trump should run. I like Pence. I like him very much.
Yeah.
He's a Christian man, and that appeals to me. He's I don't know, whenever he speaks, I like what he has to say. I can think of him.
Yeah.
I hope he'll run.
So, speaking of faith, how is faith? How did you, come to find your faith, and how has it grown over the course of your lifetime?
My faith probably started with my grandmother. I called her Mama. That was my daddy's mother. But she didn't live very long, and I may have said this earlier on the tape, but she once asked me who I loved better than anyone, and I said my mother and my daddy. And she said, no, you should love Jesus, and then your mother and daddy. And I've always thought about that, but she was one that got me started thinking about things like that. And then my mother, took me to church, Sunday school, from the time I could go, in a little Church of Christ in Huntsville. And Mother was always rude. I don't know when she became religious, but she always was in my lifetime. And she was always giving me books to read. And I know that when I went off to college, I was very lonely and unhappy. I wanted to be back because I was staying in Jimmy at the time. And she sent me a little devotional book that I would read every morning. And that was the first time I started reading devotionals. And then it's just, then of course, when Jimmy went to Vietnam, have I talked about that, about his faith? That was a big part. When Jimmy came back from Vietnam, our picture was in the paper.
Really?
And with Dr. Waldo, a minister, at the end of church to have a photographer. And
That's great.
and that's something that
Yeah.
your dad probably has all those pictures.
Yeah. That's great. So, based off of that, or just your own life experiences, what do you think is the meaning to life, or what is the meaning of life to you?
The meaning of life, I think, is love. I think we have to love everyone, even the people we don't like, but especially those that we're drawn close to.
That's a great answer. So what have been some of your favorite moments in your own life? Do you have moments that you really look back on that stand out to you, that have been your favorite moments?
Oh, I think when I got elected to some offices in high school, or when I was made to be a cheerleader, or to I don't know, just little things like silly little things like that that aren't that important anymore.
Yeah. Who have been the most influential people in your life?
That is really hard to say.
Do you have any role models or people that you really looked up to?
Yes, there have been. I remember, I can't even think of her name. Glover, Frances Glover was a role model for me. She was so sweet and always reaching out and doing nice things, and I never heard her say anything unkind about anyone. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do, is not to say unkind things about people. Just try to keep your mouth shut, but we don't always do that. It's hard to do, but I think it's important.
So what advice would you give to either yourself at a younger age or maybe your grandchildren today? If you could give any piece of advice just on life and in general.
Well, I know you're not married yet, but marriage is a very important part of your life. And if you get married, it's important to love that person for good and bad, and to talk together, talk things out. There will be problems, there's always problems. But if you love this person, you need to, it's forever. And you need to think of it like that.
So how do you think you know that you love somebody?
You just feel it. You'll know if you love somebody when they're kind to you, when they're you do things and you're interested in each other and not always about yourself, and it's about both of you. Always spend time with each other. Don't just go off and do your own thing all the time. Always have time for your spouse. Maybe it's a cup of coffee. Just to have time.
So that kind of leads into a two-part question I have here. So the first part of it is, what advice would you have for marriage in general? You clearly had a long, successful marriage. So first question is, what advice would you give when it comes to marriage? And the second is, I would just love you to talk about lemon parties. I think you had mentioned that before, and I thought that was a really great concept that I think was really cool. If you could talk about that too.
Well, lemon parties. What do you say? You turn lemon into lemonade by adding a little sweetness to it. That's what we do when we have a lemon party. And sometimes you tell each other things that you wish they would change, but you say it in a nice way. And I wish this all has to do with that. There's just some things like that. I have some books on, I used to read a lot of self-help books. The first one, I can't think of the name of it. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale wrote one, The Power of Positive Thinking. That was a good one. And then these were some of the books I read early on. And what was that? There was another book that I thought was so good. When you get 89, you can't remember all those things. Oh, I'm tangled up. And of course, marriage, I pretty much said it just the things
Yeah.
that is good marriage. But I wish I could think of the books that I thought was so good on marriage. I think Ruth, Russell, I just can't think of it.
That's fine. Yeah, if I recall correctly, you really got into reading because of one of those lemon parties, right? Didn't Jimmy say he would love to see you read
Yes.
more?
That was when we got together and told each other what we liked to see different about each other.
Yeah.
And I said, but I don't read fast. And he said, so what? Who cares? And now I'm a readaholic. And I still read. Like, I read every night before I go to bed. I've read, I don't know how many books since I've been over here. But I'm lucky that my mind can still absorb things. And I do enjoy reading.
Yeah. And so you have some other hobbies too. So how did you get into both painting and playing piano?
Well, playing the piano, my mother wanted me to play the piano since I was that high. And she gave me piano lessons one year when I was about 6 years old, maybe 7. And the piano teacher was mean. And she hit my hands with a ruler if I didn't hit the right note. And I didn't want to take anymore. And so that's when I started. But it's a wonder I ever continued to play. I guess I just had an inheritance for it. Mimi played. Oh, she could play really good. She played by ear. I play a little bit by ear, but I play by notes too. And I guess that's when I started. And I just went off and on. When I got in the 5th grade, a man, he came to our house, played the piano, and he played Boogie Woogie. And I was so taken by that, that's when I decided I was going to start learning something. And he left me a sheet of music of Boogie Woogie, and I could play Boogie Woogie. And everybody just loved that I could do that.
That's great.
But I just kept on, I don't know, just through the years I just enjoyed piano. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I cry when I play, other times I'm happy.
What about painting?
Painting, I have wanted to paint all my life. And
I'm going to zoom out here for the camera real quick while you're talking, just so we can kind of see some of the paintings in the background as well.
There are a bunch of them behind you. The painting, I could always draw. I knew I could, because I was always sketching things from the time I was a little baby. When I was 10 years old, I sketched a house and a house plan. And I always thought I wanted to be an architect, not a painter. And then, I don't know, then I kept trying to paint. And finally, Jimmy told me to take the painting lessons at the Centennial Club because I had done the interior design, I had done landscape design. Everything I did was creative.
Yeah.
I don't know 1 and 1 is 2. I think it's 3. And I was going to another Bible study group. And he said, Vivian, you go to Bible studies all the time. Go on and go to the painting class at Centennial Club. And that was a year before he died. But for 1 year, he loved that I was doing this. and he was retired, and he would meet me. He would take all my stuff and put it in the car like I was a little schoolgirl going to school. And I would go to the Centennial Club, and the artist there was Lulu Estes. And I said, well, I've never had any instruction. And she said, well, I guess we ought to start with drawing. And so she showed me some basics, and then I did them right quick. She said, you don't need any drawing. You can draw. And I really wanted some drawing. But anyway, that's how I got into it. And Jimmy would every night want to see what I'd done. He was so interested that I was doing it. And to this day, it makes me feel good. I still think he enjoys it. I've got if you want to point over here, these two pictures I've done in the last year, the last two, the Raggedy Ann and then the garden gate.
There above it. What's been your favorite painting that you've ever done? It's a really good one.
It must have taken me 100 tries to get it.
Well, you definitely mastered it.
But I love it. I've done some more of him, but not as good. And I've done a bunch. That one I did just put up last week.
Great. So have you always been creative? Like when you were growing up, did you always know that that's what you would do? That you would do creative type?
I didn't know it, but I just did.
Yeah.
And I never liked math. I never liked bridge. I didn't like anything with numbers. And yet I was drawn to anything that was drawing and beauty, colors, flowers, just nature itself.
Yeah.
You know, I like. And I paint different things, as you see. I don't just paint one style.
Yeah.
Some of them are better than others. But the Dixieland band down here, I love that because I love New Orleans and I love Dixieland. And then the one above it is reminded me of I just picked some people out and put them up there. And they were an orchestra that was playing at dances that I used to go to. So I'd pretend I was there. And so I have had my children, Jim, Bob, Madeline, have been the sweetest, kindest, loving children. And then my 7 grandchildren, I feel the same way. I've got a wonderful family, and I can't tell you how much it means to have all of you. I love each one of you. So sweet.
You mean so much to us too.
Thank you.
It's the least that we can do.
Well, I may be around a while.
Oh, for sure.
I've not decided. God, he's got plans for me. I don't know what they are, but he's got plans.
Love to hear it. So what about, so you talked about family. What about raising children? What advice do you have for
Raising children?
Yeah.
Well, of course, take them to Sunday school and church. talk about the Lord, and discipline is important. Make sure they stay on the right trail. Talk to them on a one-on-one basis. Talk to them about how they should behave, things that are right and things that are wrong. And try your best to keep them from drinking early. That's a real problem, and has been back when your daddy and mother were alive. What word? Help them to have friends over, to reach out to others, and to I can't probably go on and on.
Yeah.
But
What about travel? Where are some of your favorite places that you've traveled to and been in your life?
I think my favorite place was Italy. I've been to Italy twice.
What did you like about Italy?
I liked when I went to the northern part, the lakes. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, it's beautiful. It's a lake. Come on, people. It'll come. But anyway, it's beautiful. And the Alps on one side and Italy is on the other, and the lakes in between, and the little villages all along the lakes. That's one of them up there.
Oh, really?
That's the Villa d'Este, and it's in northern Italy. I don't know what we were talking about, but anyway, it was about Lake Como.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite places to go.
When did you first go there?
After Jimmy died,
Oh, really?
I went one trip to Italy, to northern Italy with a friend of mine. And we went on a talk tour. And I had been to Rome, and I hadn't been everywhere in Italy, but I'd been to Florence and Rome and Venice. And then I went somewhere with Jimmy. And then this other trip I took later with the same group. And we went to Lake Como. And Lake Como is a huge lake, and around it are all these different cities. Many of them, they're just villages. Many of them are, very small, and they all go uphill as they go down to the lake. And we visited some of the cities. We went out on the lake. Some people went over to Switzerland, but it was so expensive. But I just loved that. It was beautiful. And then we also went over to Lake Margero. And it's another lake that runs kind of with not very far. But I like Italy.
Yeah.
I like France, Paris. I didn't like the first time I went because it was like going to New York. The people were not friendly and nice. Nobody spoke English. And then we took another trip and went down to Provence, the southern part. People were friendly and warm, and it's kind of like the north and south.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's funny.
And we didn't get to travel as much as we would have liked to. We were going back to England, the England countryside. We'd been to London, and we'd been on another trip. But we didn't get to travel as much as I would have liked to.
Yeah.
And I find that there's a limit to how long you want to be gone. When they can't speak English and you can't speak their language, I can speak a little bit of French because I studied French in high school, but not very well.
Yeah.
And some of the French people just didn't speak English. The Italian people were more likely to speak English.
What are some of your favorite experiences? Like, do you have any like concerts that you went to, or just any certain experiences that you had throughout your life that kind of stand out, that really stood out in any way?
I've been to a lot of concerts.
Just any events, just any events. Whether it's a concert or a
Yeah.
football game or anything.
Oh goodness. Well, I like football. People think that's weird. But I just happened to be one that my daddy was a football player. It took me to the Huntsville High School football games every week. And I grew to kind of like it.
Yeah.
And Billy was too young to throw football with, so Daddy would throw the football. I could throw a spiral football.
That's great.
I can't anymore. I don't think I'd raise my hand anymore. Let's see, what else? Events that I've enjoyed. Gosh. There have been so many things in life. I've truly been blessed. I really have, and I realized that not when I was being blessed, but later when I think back about things, that God has been so good to me, and I'm truly grateful. And I ask you to please take away all my sins, because there are plenty of those too. So, what else did I like? I guess
I've got some off-the-wall questions,
okay.
just to get your knee-jerk reaction.
Oh gosh.
Do you believe that aliens exist?
Do I believe that aliens exist? No, I don't.
What about ghosts?
No. Russian good at interviewing.
I was just trying to think,
Yeah.
interesting kind of
Things.
questions.
I say that I don't believe in ghosts, I don't believe in ghosts, but twice in my life I've had experiences, God-like experiences. Once when I was in the hospital, I was very, very sick, almost to death's door, and I'd been praying, but I just wouldn't get anywhere. And all of a sudden, I felt this light, this warmth, and I knew it was God, and He was saying it's all going to be okay. The other time was when I flew out to San Francisco to meet Jimmy after he'd been gone a year, and I had never flown by myself. And I had to change planes. Jimmy was coming back and I was going to meet him tonight. And again, the same thing happened while I was on the plane. It was like out on the wing. I can still see this. The wing was a bright light. And the same thing. It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. And I was given such faith right there. I knew that I just knew that it was Jesus telling me this. And it was. But those were the two times that in my life that I've had something like that.
So what do you think happens after life ends?
After life ends,
After life as we know
I
it.
wished I knew. I really do. I don't know what to think. I just really don't know what to think. You read the Bible and it tells you that that Jesus is sitting on the right hand of God, and tells you you'll see your loved ones again, and yet we're both being cremated. I think how we're going to see each other. But it does say not necessarily in the same body. I just hope I'll know. I want to know my mother, my daddy, Jimmy, and all my loved ones that I hope will go to heaven. If I'm here too long, y'all will think I went to the other place. But I'm planning on going up. Okay. Let's see what time it is.
Yeah, if you need to